Downside Muskos is here. So yesterday we had a little discussion on settler colonial whiteness, the identity that was created here on this land, North America, not something anyone truly inherited from their ancestors, but I thought I'd make a little video and expand on it for educational purposes because posts and videos like this shift conversations. They open eyes and give people language or things they felt but never articulated. So whiteness in North America wasn't a heritage. It was a strategy, a political invention designed to justify land theft, hierarchy, and domination. To maintain that system, Europeans had to abandon their own languages, ceremonies, and community traditions and merge into a single identity built entirely around power, white supremacy. And none of this happened by accident. It was planned, structured, and enforced. The message to newcomers was essentially, welcome to the new world. There's land and resources for the taking, but only if you're white. All you have to do is join the Colonial project and remove anyone who stands in the way. This wasn't a spontaneous cultural shift. It was an organized system of violence, expansion, and cultural erasure that rewarded people for becoming colonizers and punished anyone who refused to participate. And that identity was shaped mostly by the English. That's why we speak English. But because they were the primary colonizers of North America, they waged massive wars with the French, Spanish, Dutch, and later Americans, all Europeans fighting for control of our lands and resources that were never theirs to begin with. Our nations were pulled into these conflicts, used as allies, buffers, scouts, and shields in battles we never asked for. Colonial empires treated us like pieces on their battlefield while they redrew the map for their own benefit. They even built whole mythologies around it, like the cowboy. Most people don't even realize that cowboy identity Americans brag about wasn't even theirs. It was appropriated from the Mexican vaqueros. Colonialism also weaponized the oppressed against the oppressed. Black enslaved people were forced and later recruited into military regiments used to fight indigenous nations, like the Buffalo Soldiers. They were deployed to remove our people, burn our homes, and enforce relocation. Dividing marginalized people has always been a key colonial tactic. Some Europeans, like the Irish, arrived in chains or indentured servitude. They faced discrimination at first, but many eventually embraced colonial racism to climb into the white category. Whiteness wasn't culture, it was a membership, a ladder, a deal. And here's the thing people don't like to acknowledge. Whiteness was technically a culture, just one I wouldn't brag about on Culture Day. It's a culture built through erasing others, not creating its own, an anti-culture, if you will, designed to overwrite indigenous, black, and immigrant identities and to disconnect Europeans from their own ancestral teachings. It shaped people into being anti-indigenous, anti-black, and anti-anyone who didn't fit the colonial mold. A culture rooted in violence, domination, racism, and authoritarian control, one that survives by suppressing every culture around it, including the ones its own people once had. So when I say no culture, I'm not disrespecting anyone's roots. I'm calling out the colonial identity that replaced those roots, the identity designed to flatten difference, enforce assimilation, and position itself above everyone else. And this is important to understand. Decolonization, it's not just for indigenous people. Colonization harmed us in obvious, brutal ways, but it also harmed settlers by cutting them off from their own ancestral languages, ceremonies, stories, and relationships to their lands. Decolonization is an invitation for everyone to return to something real, something pre-colonial, something human again. For us, it means reclaiming what was taken. For settlers, it means remembering what they once lost and refusing the colonial identity they were handed. That's the version of whiteness I'm addressing, the one that disconnected millions, billions from their own ancestors, from their own lands, and then they had the nerve to claim we were the ones without identity or culture after they tried to erase it. But in closing, Healing begins when people start remembering who they were before the colonial project, before settler colonial whiteness was invented. Hope you have a good day.